Writing, writing. I wrote about the pigeons hobbling around on the icy sidewalks beneath my window, the sun rising over the southern hillside, the peonies in my grandmother's garden, the irks and ills of my siblings, of my mother, my father, my grandparents, until my pen took on a life of its own, and my father became a boy called Luke, my mother a girl called Claire, my brother Glenn a cat called Pirate. I, myself, would carry many names. I write words spoken by my mother. I write words spoken by my aunts and uncles. I write about what I have seen, heard, and, well, made up. Thus far, it has fed into 6 novels situated in Newfoundland culture, some of those novels undergoing up to 7 translations. When I asked my Japanese editor why her publisher had been attracted to Kit's Law, the story of a girl growing up in a rural Newfoundland outport, she answered, "It is a story of faith, the elderly, and family love. It is what our Japanese culture was built upon, and we struggle now to keep it." It matters not our differences then, because we all eat from the one basket of life with its fruits of joy, kindness, goodness, and patience. We all speak the universal language of love, laughter, fear, and grief evoked by this tremendous and terrible journey through life. And of the fruits in the basket, it's joy I covet the most, as it allows me to see the beauty in a frost-itched window and hear the singing of broken glass being swept by my mother's broom. And joy is fed by love. It's fed by gratification and blessedness, and it is the 7th heaven. It was the memory of joy that kept me going during my trials of physical and spiritual impoverishment. It was the memory of joy that sustained me through the dark hole I fell into during my 40s. Joy that helped me throughout the hellish battle for sanity in a world suddenly turned on its head. And yet, it was during those moments when joy was blanketed by fear, grief, contempt, guilt, shame, and so many other ills that I was kicked, bruised, and hurting into consciousness, which is, I believe, where God lives. For our truly conscious moments happen when something, big or small, awakens us to a deeper way of seeing things, dredging us up from innocence into awareness. Looking back, I see those moments, some of them lasting for days, months, perhaps years, as lampposts pinpointing my journey through the dark corridors of my past. This memoir follows a trajectory through some of the more significant of these, leading up to the death of my mother and the publication of my first novel, one that her courage helped me create during her final days. For each moment recounted here, there are thousands more not written. And whenever my personal story becomes lost in my mother's story, it is because she carried me in hers. Imagination. Fear. It came without being beckoned. It came within a flash. It touched cold against my skin, and before I could grasp what it was, it seated itself inside the moist, dark marrow of my bones. I was 8. It was warm and sunny, the ocean lapping along the shore. I was heading for home, proud of the 6-foot slab I'd just pulled from the sea for firewood. It was smelly and water-sogged heavy. When I reached the first house, Aunt Rose's place, she was leaning on her fence, staring down the road. Something was wrong. My aunts were hovering on the road in front of my house. The aunts never hovered in a huddle on the road. They were always inside, doing things. They came out only when a youngster cried too hard, or they needed a bit of kindling from the porch to flame a fire. They'd scoot to another's house for a cup of tea, or to borrow a bit of pork fat or butter. They'd team up with buckets and rags and clean the school or Aunt Reen's or grandmother's house if those women were feeling too poorly to do it themselves. They never huddled.